Chapter 13. Pets. Why did you have to invite May? Matilda had been mumbling for the past quarter of an hour as they were walking toward the hills. They had decided they should all meet that very Saturday and bring their pets along. May was walking in silence in front of them, carrying her rabbit. Her pink crocheted cap barely covered her thick tresses falling on her shoulders. She was walking beside Ben, who was trying to impress her by presenting one of his alien theories. Ferry would have liked to ask her about her flowers, but he was taken hold of Matilda, who wouldn't let go of his hand. Shadow was following them closely behind, sniffing the air around, while Izzy was dozing on Ben's shoulder. Only Fairy's raven was missing. "So where is that raven of yours you've talked so much about?" Matilda asked. "He'll be here when I'll call him." "He does that all the time," said Ferry with pride. The town of Goodhots was surrounded almost entirely by hills. The children chose the eastern hills, covered in clusters of green grass that still kept a shade of summer. But the summer was long gone and the four children felt the late fall blowing a chilly wind to their cheeks and pinching their noses with icy blows. Ferry suggested they should go to the West Hills where the forest was silently residing, but none of his friends seemed excited about the idea. When they finally reached the hills, Ferry put 2 fingers into his mouth and a sharp whistle, like a bird cry, emerged. Suddenly, a black dot appeared in the sky, flying closer to the hills. The children's eyes widened with wonder and fear. A giant raven was rapidly flying towards them. When he flew over, they all had to hold their hats and bonnets so the storm emerging from his huge wings wouldn't take them away. The raven then mellowed the speed of his wings and smoothly came down, landing on Fairy's arm. The boy couldn't be prouder. "Everyone, meet Baldy." His friends smiled awkwardly, partly because of the bird's funny name, but mainly because they were rather afraid of the bird. "All right," said Ferry, "now it's time our pets meet each other." The children put their pets down, then they all took a step back. 2 snouts, 1 nose, and 1 beak sniffed the air. Then, as if an alarm bell sounded, chaos struck. The dog began to chase the rabbit. The poor animal ran in big circles, trying desperately to lose his tracker. Then the raven made a terrible croak, swooping upon the lizard. The lizard dug a hole in the ground to hide from the giant beak. Matilda's dog began chasing the other creatures, all at the same time. At the sight of such fret, the children dashed to the middle of the battlefield, each trying to protect their pets. "All right, that's enough," Matilda shouted to cover the uproar. "Shadow and me, we're going home. I knew this wasn't a good idea." Then she headed towards the town at a firm pace, followed by her grey dog, now obedient and calm. "I've almost lost Izzy because of your bald bird," said Ben, who rarely got upset. "Can you see it now? There's no connection between our pets." Then he rushed to catch up with Matilda. Ferry looked at May. She tried to smile, but the boy could tell she was upset too. "I'm sorry, Ferry, but Harry is very important to me. I don't want to put him in danger ever again." She then ran to catch up with the others. Ferry wasn't expecting that. It seemed he was wrong and their pets were just normal animals, after all. He caressed Baldy's bald head and then told him to fly away. He couldn't go home with his raven. His father would have never agreed to keep a bird inside. Late at night, whispers woke Ferry up from the deep sleep he'd fallen into. Carried away by the wind, the whispers seemed far away, but then closer, as if someone was at the end of his bed. He rubbed his eyes, not knowing whether he was dreaming. He got up and went to the window. Outside, the wind made the old walnut tree wail under its blast. The branches reached his window, knocking at as if to make him aware of something. The sky was clear, for the wind chased the clouds away, and the moonlight made the backyard look like during the daylight. Ferry opened the window carefully. 2 silhouettes were looming in the moonlight. They were sitting on the lower branch of the tree where his swing hung. He couldn't see what those silhouettes were or what they were saying. Then he felt the raven's stone burning his skin. He took it off and watched through its hole. What he saw made his heart skip a beat. It was that winged creature again, half man, half bird. Now, he folded his wings and was talking to another creature. That other one was tall and had a glowing skin of a greenish color. He had long, lizard-like legs dangling on the branch. This time, Ferry could clearly hear what they were saying, as if he was sitting right next to them, on the same branch. "What about Sage and Rosemary?" asked the birdman. "They just couldn't come. You know girls, they're more protective. They wouldn't let them out of sight the whole night," the lizard man answered. "I hope no one suspects anything after all that happened today," the raven man added. "I don't think so. People find things like magical animals hard to believe. Children too, although their minds are more open." The birdman laughed, a peal of laughter mixed with croaks. "It looks like we've played our part well, after all." "Maybe a little too well," the lizard said, turning serious. "You were almost about to hurt me with that big beak of yours. Don't worry, I know how to use my beak." "How about him? Do you think he's suspecting anything?" "Maybe so. But we must do everything to keep him away from knowing. The later he finds out, the safer he is." "You're right, we must be careful," the raven man agreed. Then he yawned, stretching his big wings. "It's getting late, you should go. Maybe Benjamin wakes up, and he doesn't find you in your armchair. He's a clever little boy, that one. He mustn't suspect anything. Think about how lucky you are to sleep by the fire, especially now with this weather. Imagine how it feels like to sleep in my nest, outside the window, in such cold." "I feel sorry for you, old friend," the lizard man said with a grin. "But you are the most suited to defend him. You were chosen for that." "That is true," the birdman agreed, a frown on his face. "Well then, good night, Parsley." "Good night time," the lizard man answered and jolted off the branch, then vanished into the night. Barely breathing, Ferry closed the window slowly and rushed to his bed. Just in time. He could hear the raven's wings fluttering and the sound of him settling to sleep in the nest, outside his window. Ferry eventually fell asleep, with the wind and the croaks still echoing in his head.